Alright, this is the first time I've had to explain this to anyone else, so you might find me reaching for descriptions, but I don't really care about that. I think what's important now at this stage is even some meek understanding of this. What I'm gonna attempt to describe here is genetic code in the form of symbolism, and we're gonna go into numerology too. You can't really completely understand all these things with just one approach from one order of principles. Even Da Vinci said, like, don't even bother looking at his work unless you're a mathematician, and I'm no math whiz myself, but I can work with numbers and I can pull a story from them if they're in association with the correct symbolism. And all these things have to match up, otherwise you've got to start again. I mean, it has to unite. The equation has to unite all things. So if you go to attempt to figure out or translate or decode these communications that we see here, call it art, whatever you like, you're going to have to incorporate other sciences and modern sciences as well. Like, you're going to have to make yourself familiar with some of the most up-to-date research, as well as some of the more ancient forms of calculations, like numerology and stuff like that. I have seen numerology, the type I'm talking about, used in mathematics. I wasn't sure what area, but they were demonstrating its use somewhere I've seen. Like I said, I'm no mathematician. The only use I really have for it is decoding these sort of things. So yeah, continuing on, without further introduction, we're going into a genetic code. This code is within all of us, and it's probably more specific to some people that I'm gonna show you this information, but it is relevant to all, and you might find out something about yourself even. So we got all these numbers, 666 and stuff, and says, he who has understanding calculate that number, because it's the number of a man. And so we expect it to be in one man, but perhaps it is the number of man. And we know, we got 666, the carbon molecules, and what, our organic base is made of. It's pretty much, goes like 6 molecules of this stuff, 6 molecules of that stuff, or whatever. That might be true. That's cool. We can, got no problem with that. We can expand on it, and we can find an ancient mirror of these things. I know a lot of you are turning off Revelations, so I'm gonna have to explain that. I don't mind if you burn the churches, but I've got to protect Christianity itself in a way, and by doing that, I'm going back to some of its roots. Yeah, Order of the Dragon, brothers and sisters, is alive and well. But anyway, here we go. In one of my last videos and previous episodes, I've been showing you these two things. We've exposed what she's carrying as keys of consciousness, and the significance of the two keys. Already covered this. I don't think I'll cover it too much more in this video. But what we are gonna cover is the significance of the two. And we'll probably go into the number 322. The infamous number on the skull and bones symbol. Okay, now we got these guys running around in their tutu on a full moon, behind closed doors, doing whatever. Our lips are sealed, dancing around a goat or whatever. It's all good fun and games until someone loses an eye. Okay, so I've identified. As we go up here, we see intervals, stages. We see and we're going to look at it as a man as well. Okay, this thing as a man, and we're going to look at it possibly as these two things as X and Y chromosomes. But okay, so we have the node, and I've described, like, here we show different stages of male maturity, sexual maturity. I'll have the flaccid penis here as it grows from the smallest node. There's a smaller one down here at infantile stage, but we're going to focus on 1, 2, 3. The small node, we see the enlarged flaccid penis here, also in a grip, and at the top level, at the break, where the head of the flower breaks, we see the fully erect male member. And there does look to be a release of fertility, and it doesn't look entirely on the physical dimension. It seems to be passing through the fourth or whatever dimension, and yeah, she seems to be receiving this fertility from death, the death of this symbolic person. Now we're going into the death of Tutankhamun. Okay, when we see the king die at 19, at a stage of maturity. Okay, so, and there was a break on the base of the head of Tutankhamun. So we see him at his peak. Symbolically, it shows at his peak of maturity. bam, there's the break, there's the death. But what of this first and second death? Now, the flower is plucked, obviously. Okay, it's already dead, basically. It's like the Walking Dead. And it's the same with Tutankhamun. He was like, full of viruses, malaria. He was dying. Probably wanted to die in battle. Received the... died there. But, So we see this break that we know from forensics probably happened after the initial death. And they say it wasn't the actual cause of death. So we have a symbolic reference to Revelations once again, first and second death. Now, I keep stating in other areas on the net that although Revelations is something that's happened on a larger scale, it's also something that's happening on a micro scale within your genetics, which also link up to this external reality. Okay, alrighty. So, with that in mind, let's look at some real examples. Okay, so we have 19. Now, I'm going to use probably myself as an example. Like, I experienced some spiritual death at 19. And within 2 years, that death had reached its peak at 21. Now, medical science says, 21 for these major mental illnesses, it'll hit you. It's a major statistical thing here, the age of 21. It just goes bam. And we can't all have the same triggers. So there's something there happening in genetics. It's not just like drugs or abuse, not everyone experiences that, and lo and behold, still, and it might not even take that much of a trigger, you know what I mean? Like, it can be anything at all. So we have a 2-year gap. That was my first clue with the 2 2s. I did have other clues that I won't mention because they sound a bit too probably mystical for some, so we'll keep this what we can visually find resemblances. Okay, so in the next 2 clue I had was Da Vinci removing himself from the scene at his peak when he was about to explode onto the scene in ultra fame. We see him vanishing for exactly 2 years. Now, I believe in this instance what is happening is Da Vinci was aware of this emergence within himself, and to disrupt the continuum and the external components that affect this, he removed himself from that flow of time. Now, these things are bound in time. That's 15 minutes. Alright. Should I continue? Okay, we'll continue in another video.